go. Bang, we are going. Welcome everybody to our Wednesday morning webinar. This is Greg Hague, the Real Estate Maverick, as you well know. And I was requested this week, before I started into the substance of the webinar, I was requested to do a little story. Well, first I want to share with you that I'm broadcasting from my back patio here in Arizona. It is a gorgeous morning. I mean, a gorgeous morning, 9:30 in the morning Pacific time, and fantastic. So the story, and this is one I do a lot in my live talks. I don't know if I've done it on a webinar, but in my personal development speaking, I believe that I actually believe the two biggest things that hold us back, that hold people back, is number one, not having clarity, and number two, living in kind of a state of fear. And I believe that so many of us, talking about the clarity piece, so many of us live in a state of ambiguity. Ambiguity is to a lot of things, not just ambiguity in business and in real estate. Ambiguity, exactly what I should do, what I should say, what is going to move my needle the most each day. Not just that, but ambiguity as to whether or not I should work out, how I should work out, how I should exercise, how I can look better, how I can eat better, all kinds of things. And I have this formula that is ambiguity about what to say to a client in a given situation. So I have this little formula that I have used for years. I developed it many years ago, and it's basically just to think of every situation, everything, and try to find your way to having clarity of purpose, clarity of process, and clarity of person. Now, clarity of purpose means even if you're having lunch with a friend, your purpose is to be a friend. So you really want to focus. You think of that before the lunch. I want to do certain things during this lunch with my friend. That's the process. I want to do certain things that will really make my friend know I care about him or her deeply, including a big hug at the end. I'm a hug kind of guy. And so that's, and a phone call with a client, I try never to make a phone call without having absolute clarity of what I want to accomplish. That is the purpose, and then the process. Whoops, got a little flag here. Let me get rid of that. There we go. And there we go. Cancel. Okay. So Jen's still looking good from that end. I had a couple of flags on my thing here. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay from that end, Jen?
Everything's great.
Okay. So you have clarity of purpose with everything you do, a little phone calls, meetings, everything. I mean, one example in real estate. You have an offer that comes in on one of your listings. So you have an offer that comes in on one of your listings, and you go over to present the offer. Well, one of the things you want to do is you probably don't want to be the one to call your clients and tell them, hey, I've got an offer. I'm coming over to, what time are you available tonight to talk about it? Because the first thing they're going to say is, how much is it for? And the last thing you want to have to do is talk about the price, what's in the offer, before you get over there in front of the clients. But the clarity of purpose on this is to know before you go over, to figure out what you want to get the client to do. What is the right thing to do? This is one of the reasons people hire us. They don't just hire us to bring buyers through a home and generate offers. They hire us for our advice. And so my clarity of purpose with every offer I've ever presented from the early days when I finally understood to do this was I looked at that offer, and first I had to decide to myself, is this an offer that I feel I should try to convince my sellers to take, or is this an offer that I should convince my sellers to counteroffer? There was never been an offer in my life that I wanted, my clarity of purpose was to convince my sellers to reject it, even though sometimes they'd get upset, they'd want to reject it because it was a lowball offer. That never goes anywhere. Rejecting an offer is silliness. You take the emotion out of equation, but always having clarity of purpose, clarity of process, and then clarity of person. This clarity of person that I try to live with is, who do I want to be as a person? And I think equally as important, not only who do I want to be, but how do I project that to other people? What are the things that I do during the day to project to the people around me that I am this person that I want them to think of me as being? And so I just throw that little bit of advice out to you about having clarity. And I just finished a roundtable meeting. I'm part of the Harvey McKay Roundtable. As most of you know, I'm CEO and partners with Harvey and his university, Harvey McKay University. And one of the speakers, actually, I think it was Brendan Burchard. Brendan's a friend. Brendan was one of our speakers this year on Monday. And I think it was Brendan who said that he believed that one of the hallmarks for successful people is that they are comfortable with ambiguity. Actually, it wasn't. I think it was Sam Richter who said that. And because Brendan was talking about clarity. And I mentioned to Sam, one of the most amazing guys. Sam is a boy, if you want to find somebody who really knows, knows how to leverage the power of the internet in selling, Sam Richter is the total go-to guy. But I told Sam I didn't actually agree with that. We all live in ambiguity, but I think a hallmark of the most successful people are those who are uncomfortable in ambiguity, who are always striving for clarity in everything they do. And one of the things that Brendan said in his talk, and this was on Monday, that Brendan said on his talk, was that every morning when he wakes up, first of all, he drinks 20 ounces of water just to kind of clean his system out. And then he sits down and he spends 20 minutes, regardless of where he is, what's the situation, and he gets absolute clarity. He takes notes and gets clarity on what he intends to accomplish that day. A quick 20 minutes in the morning, and he said that has made an enormous difference in his life. Well, the last little riff, and I'll just keep it very short, is this concept of fear. I think there are so many calls we don't make, so many meetings we don't have, so many things that we don't do because we're afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of being embarrassed. We're afraid that it won't work out. We're afraid of losing money. And, fear to me, and I saw this movie once that I've seen it now many times since with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin, and it's called The Edge. And it's not like a 5-star movie, but it's really good. And essentially, Anthony Hopkins is a billionaire, and Alec Baldwin is a photographer who's, by the way, hitting on Anthony Hopkins' wife, who's gorgeous and who's a model. And they go out to do some shots in the remote Alaska wilderness. And the wife's not in the plane, but in a small bush plane, Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin and the pilot and then one other person, they all of a sudden are flying out to this remote place, like 80 miles from this camp that they're in, this little lodge they're in, and struck by birds. And it just breaks the windshield of the plane, and the pilot is all of a sudden, it's really good. His body's just killed instantly. And the plane, this bush plane, veers out of control, and it comes down and almost crashes into the side of a mountain, breaks off the wing, and plunges into this frozen lake out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. And so it goes down, and bottom line, they're able to get to the top and get over to the shoreline. Well, here's the bottom line. So the rest of the movie is about them being stalked by this man-eating bear. And it's really good. And by the way, the man-eating bear is played by Bart the bear. And it's really good. This is very realistic. At one point, Alec Baldwin gives up. He just lays down on the ground and he says to Anthony Hopkins, he says, I'm just done. This is it. I can't fight this anymore. What's going to happen is going to happen. And Baldwin says, Anthony Hopkins says to Baldwin, no. He said, what one man can do, another can do. We're going to kill the bear. You say that after me. And Baldwin says, nah, I'm not. And Anthony Hopkins, you say that after me. What one man can do, another can do. People have killed bears, and what one man can do, another can do. We're going to kill the bear. So they start chanting this back and forth. And the bottom line is they get up, and Alec Baldwin is reinvigorated. And I won't ruin the story by telling you what happens, the rest of the story, but they go after the bear. And the whole thing there, so what does that mean? What's the lesson to be learned from that movie? In my view, it's this. Fear, think about fear. Fear is simply your mind. Whatever it is you're afraid of, making calls, asking somebody to invest in a business, whatever it is you're afraid of at any given point, asking your girlfriend to marry you, whatever it is that you're afraid of, fear is simply your mind fast forwarding. It's your mind fast forwarding and seeing whatever it is you're afraid of go badly. You're up on a stage, visualizing me like maybe this morning doing this webinar, and all of a sudden I forget everything I'm supposed to say. That's what it is. It's just your mind seeing things, fast forwarding things, seeing things turn to crap. So how do you overcome that? the way you overcome that, besides being ultra prepared, you know, ultra preparedness is one of the greatest solutions to fear in the world. But aside from that, you start thinking positively. You start seeing yourself. I see myself on this webinar with my new blue shirt and just crushing it. And all you guys are saying, go, Greg, go. And I visualize that even if you're asleep, half asleep, and you're eating breakfast and you're saying, God, this is totally boring. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing you guys like rock. And when I do that, it so helps me be better. And I think in anything that you fear, it would help you be better as well. Okay, well, the subject of this morning's webinar, that's my little 10-minute riff to get things started. The subject of this morning's webinar is how to use numbers to move your needle, to really increase your ROI in your marketing and, quite frankly, in your listing presentations. Now, I was inspired to do this webinar by, I don't think I've ever met Kathy. Kathy's not with my firm, by Kathy Hotchkiss. And Kathy, I actually ought to just pick up the phone and see if she picks up here. That would be pretty cool. I might even do that. But this is a piece that was sent to a home, not in our neighborhood, but in a community ways over that I got a hold of. And I thought Kathy did a really good job. This, except for one thing, in my opinion, this is a magnificent, she's only missing one thing in here. And by the way, I say that, I don't say that as a criticism. She has all the components of what I would consider to be a perfect marketing piece, a perfect real estate marketing piece. So I saw this and I thought, wow, and by the way, what's it missing? The only thing it's missing, in my view, is an irresistible message, a compelling message, a value proposition. And that could maybe have nothing to do necessarily with her commission, just some program, some process that I think would make this even stronger. And I'm going to talk to you about that in the webinar. But this is her piece. And here are the things that it has. First of all, look down here where she has her numbers. You see those numbers down there? More reasons to hire Kathy to sell your home. And then she has these numbers down here, like number one, I sell homes for more money. And then she sells them for 97% of asking price, 7.1% more, she says. Average agent, 93% of asking price. And you can see, and then she has a little example, average homes listed, and this is in a community down the road here that she put this out in, is 800,000. I could make you 32,000 more. You can see how she's got that. See if the camera will focus on that. And I thought that was just, there we go. I thought that was incredibly effective. Then her next thing is your home is more likely to sell. And she points out percentage of listings. She sells 89% of her listings, and agents in that community down the road sell on average 71.4% of their listings. And you can see where she has that, and that is number two. And then number 3 and 4, she's just talking about the number of buyers she has. Is that looking upside down? Is that weird? Whatever. Okay, well, it looks weird to me. In any case, very effective. She also does social proof. Kathy has social proof right up in here where she has testimonials. So that is a really important component. She has a very attractive, engaging photo of herself. And she just did a really, really good job. And then on the back of it, you can see what it looks like. So bottom line is, when I got this, a friend of mine gave me this who lives down the road. That inspired me to do today's webinar on numbers, how to use numbers, put numbers in your marketing pieces, and absolutely rock it, increase your ROI with numbers. So let's blast through it here. So I'm going to go over to the slide deck that Jen always magnificently prepares. So here we go, and I am going to blast through this because this deck we've converted to a PDF, and if you want to copy that, in fact, Jen, pop back on here. Are you just going to, would you like people to request the PDF from you, or are you just going to send that to everybody on the webinar? Do you want them to email Jen at Real Estate Marriage? Because this has got great information for you guys. Jen, are you there?
You will send out a link to the webinar.
I'm sorry?
I'll send out a link to the webinar, but if they need the PDF, they can email me.
So if you want the PDF, email Jen at realestatemaverickс.com. That's Jen at realestatemavericks.com. So here we go. And I'm just going to zip through this slide deck because I've got everything in writing for you. I took the time to do this. Jen put it in a deck so that you could really have, in my advice, on how to leverage numbers to move your needle. Okay, so let me get down here. Do you know, first of all, let's just start right here and let me move this over. Do you know the numbers in your market area? So, so that's the first thing. Do you know the numbers in your market area? We're going to talk about those in a minute. Do you know your numbers compared to your competitors? So do you know your numbers compared to your competitors? And the reason this is so critical is it so puts you not only just for marketing, but it puts you in such a better position to impress sellers on listing appointments. It impresses sellers, as I just said. It can be the difference. Knowing this data, being able to share this strategically and casually on a listing appointment can be your edge in winning a listing. And you also should explain to sellers why it's important to know this stuff. And you can hear all the noise. I'm out in for those of you that tuned in here late, I see a lot of people coming in. I'm on the back patio here. There's whatever going on, but it's all good. Beautiful morning in Arizona. So it's important to explain to sellers why this is important for you to know the stats on the area. And the reason is knowing your market area numbers can help you get buyers to pay a higher price. If you really understand various homes, pricing, price comparisons, etc., that is the kind of data that you can selectively use and share with other agents or share directly with buyers in order to get them to see more value in your listing. And you want to point this out to home sellers. And I assure you, I've done this when I was actively I still do it, helping my son, etc. But when I was spending every day focusing just on the community of Paradise Valley, I knew everything. I knew every home, every stat, everything. And I constantly shared this with sellers and told them how this equipped me to selectively use that data to convince buyers to pay a little bit more and to educate other realtors who had buyers who were making offers on our listings as to how they could convince their buyers to pay a little bit more. So sellers love this. It's very powerful to use to drip feed in a listing presentation. Knowing your numbers compared to your competitors is another way. Instead of just market numbers, what are your numbers compared to your competitors? We're going to talk about that. That can be an incredibly effective, what I call agent disabler. An agent disabler is information you leave behind with a seller when you're on a listing appointment and don't get the listing right then, that you just strategically leave behind so that if they're interviewing other agents, they would ask other agents certain questions, and those other agents would be likely to not answer those questions very well. And so it ends up putting you in a better position for the sellers to call you and give you the listing. So you should know, in my opinion, you should, number one, all of you should have a market area that you specialize in. And you should know the following numbers in your market area. Like you should have them memorized and constantly, just every month or 2 months, just update yourself. So here we go. Current number of homes for sale. You like Paradise Valley down here or North Scotts or whatever the community, you just should know at any given point exactly the current number, what is on the market, how many homes right now. That is incredibly important data. The number of homes that have sold over the past year. So how many homes have sold over the past 12 months? The months of inventory at the current rate of sale. That's really the absorption rate. Absorption rate, and do you know the definition? Have you explained to seller what absorption rate is and tell them what the absorption rate is right now in your community based on what's happening? As you can see, you calculate it by dividing the total number of available homes that are for sale right now, by the average number of sales per month. So if there are 100 homes for sale in a community right now, and the average number of sales per month is 10, then what is the absorption rate? It's 10%. Only 10% of the homes are being absorbed, and you have 10 months of inventory. If no other homes are listed, you would have 10 months of inventory for everything to sell out. So you want to know absorption rate. Average list price per square foot. The average list price per square foot, that's obviously important to know in your area. The average sale price per square foot. The average percentage of original list price to sale price. And that's different than the average percentage of final list price to sale price. You will really impress sellers. You will really impress sellers if you know both. Here is the average original list price to sale price, and then the average final list price if for the homes that are reduced to sale price. That is an incredibly important statistic to know. And I know what you're thinking, Greg, how are we going to figure all this stuff out? That's going to take an enormous amount of time in MLS. Actually, it's going to take none of your time, and I'm going to explain to you why in just a minute. You're going to like that. So next, the average percentage of price reductions, average percent amount of price reductions prior to sale. That's important to know. The average number of new listings placed on the market each month. How many new listings are coming on the market every month? And this is stuff you need to memorize. You need to have all this stuff memorized so that if I called you today, anybody on this webinar, if I called you right now and I said, answer all these questions with respect to your market, you could just bang, you could just hit me with those and nail it right then. So the average number of listings sold each month, the number of buyers in your database. So this is important. How many buyers right now do you have in your database? And if you don't have a lot, you, your team, your office, what does your office have in its database? The bottom line is, you have access. If you're in an office with a lot of agents, definitely the agents in the office database wouldn't have to put the contact information for their buyers, even the full name of their buyers. They could just put descriptions in that database because, I know people aren't going to want to share the contact information of the buyers they're working with other agents in their office. But every office ought to have a database of the profile of what buyers are looking for. So if I have 2 buyers looking for particular types of homes in a particular price range, then I would put those in the office database. Well, there's 2 big reasons for doing that. One big reason for putting them in the database is that it could be that somebody in my office is in the process of listing a home that may fit one of my buyers and can give me first dibs at getting my buyer in to buy that home. The other reason is that if an office in aggregate has 333, like Kathy's right here, she mentions here that I have over 700 buyers in our database looking for a home. I have over 700 buyers in our, notice our. That's clearly her office's well, you can't see it. You can't see it because the screen's small. So the bottom line is that's impressive, and she's not leveraged. She doesn't personally have 700 buyers, I'm quite sure. I'm sure that her office has the 700 buyers in their database. So you use it. Also, you would use it to impress sellers as to the number of buyers that you can tap potentially to look at their home. Okay, you should know now. And then I'm going to talk to you about comparisons with competitors. So I'm going to give you a tip so I don't forget it. So you might say, but Greg, I don't have time to do all this stuff. You can hire somebody for $15 an hour, from $12 to $18 an hour, roughly 15 bucks an hour. Just hire somebody to do this. This can all be done in a few hours. You're talking 50 bucks, 100 bucks. You're talking virtually no money to have it not only done for you, but then have it laid out graphically, the stuff that really looks good, well, first of all, the market numbers, just have them all right there. That has nothing to do with you. Or you can actually even give them to people in a handout to sellers. So that's easy. And somebody, again, they could spend like an hour a week, cost you 15 bucks a week. So you just hire somebody to do this stuff. You always have to be thinking to yourself, how much is my time worth? I'll tell you how I try to lead my life. I try to lead my life that I really narrow it down to doing only 2 things. Things that move my needle in business and things that I enjoy. Everything else. Now I have to do some other things, but I try not to. For example, there are a number of errands and other things that I just don't do. I hire somebody to do them. Hire somebody to pick up the dry cleaning, hire this. Roseanne, of course, does all this stuff as well. But the bottom line is I like to go to Whole Foods. So I go do my own grocery shopping because I enjoy that. But to me, as long as you feel like you're worth more per hour in a work mode than the people you would hire to do these kinds of things for you, then you're nuts not to hire people to do it so that you can earn. If you're worth a couple hundred an hour and you can hire somebody at 15 bucks an hour, then why in the world would you do stuff you don't want to do, if it's in a work situation? Okay, well, so that's my advice on how to get this stuff done for you. Just hire it done. So now you should also know the following numbers compared to your competitors. Comparing you to competitors. You may not use all these. Some of it may not make you look great. Some of it may make you look great. You're obviously going to get the dope. You're going to get all this, and then you're going to figure out what to leverage that makes you look good, like Kathy did so well. So your average list to sale price versus their average list to sale price. Your average days on the market versus their average days on the market. Your average percentage of listings sold versus their average percentage of listings sold. And when I say their, I'll talk about that more specifically in a minute. This has to do with your competitors. Your average sale price per square foot versus their average sale price per square foot. Also, so then you can do comparisons. You can have this person you hire do comparisons for you versus individual agents that might be ones you're competing against in your market. It could also be done groups of agents. You could take a group of agents, like the 5 or 6 biggest name agents in your community. You could group them and see what their stats look like, and then compare your stats and see if your stats look better. So that would be a cool thing to do if your stats look, well, you won't know if your stats look better till you do it. And then also you do it with respect as comparison to all agents in the market. So once you have the data, you take the data and you use the data that makes you look best. You're obviously using accurate data, but you take the stuff that makes you look best and it becomes part of your marketing. And that's what marketing is all about. The same in your listing presentation. So those are things. I think I talk so much about effective marketing because the biggest problem most realtors have is not they can't get a listing on the listing appointment. Realtors sometimes lose listings, but the biggest problem is you don't get out on enough listing appointments. How many of you are going out on 3 and 4 listing appointments a week? And I mean 3 and 4 listing appointments a week. In the years when I was selling real estate full-time and not also training, I was not a happy person if one single day went by and I was not out on a listing appointment. I mean, I didn't care if we didn't have one from a call-in, from marketing or whatever. Then it was get somebody on. Let's get an appointment with a buy owner, with an expired, with something. But get me in front of somebody. You can't list a house generally unless you're in front of somebody. I still think it's rather difficult, even in this new age of technology, to list a house over the internet or list a house by phone. So bottom line is you need to be in front of people. And my view is if you have these numbers in your marketing, you will be in front of a lot more people and you will convert a lot more listings when you're there. Okay, so I'd also like to share with you, because Kathy's wonderful marketing piece. Again, Kathy Hotchkiss. Kathy Hotchkiss, she's a realtor here in the Scottsdale area. And if you would like to email, her website is Kathy Hotchkiss, HOTCHKISS.com. I will give her a call later. I shouldn't even know I'm doing this. I'm going to give her a call later on and just let her know that I think she rocks. And she also did something I'll show you right. In fact, I will show you right now. Let me go off screen share. I want to show you something she did. And then I'm going to talk to you about the 4 pillars of effective marketing. Okay, so something she did I want to show you here. Notice this part. See the toll-free number there? I'm going to show you that. She's got the home seller's kit. Okay, you just get a, there you go. So home seller's kit, free report detailing the inner workings of this special offer, no obligation, mailed to your home. So I want you to see that, no obligation, mailed to your home. So that's pretty cool. And then she lists, what is this? Things you should do and not do. How to establish your selling price. Quick and easy fix-ups that will make a difference. How to maximize your investment and more. And then she goes on, plus for a special limited time, special reports and videos to help your home sell fast and for top dollar, including, here it is, the 10 secret questions you should ask before you hire an agent. And that is free to the first 15 callers. If you can see that on camera, that is free to the first 15 callers. Then she has, to order, call this toll-free number, 1-800-579-1679, option number 1, if you guys want to order that. And she says here, call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to talk to anyone. Just call our 24-hour voicemail system and leave your mailing address. I mean, guys, how good is this? Leave your mailing address or visit our website at myscottsdalesellerskit.com. Leave your mailing address, okay? I mean, so she gets the addresses of these people, probably their name. I mean, Kathy, that is a really, really effective part of this piece. So to go back to where we were, what, in my view, are the 4 pillars? Let me find my slide deck here. The 4 pillars, there it is. The 4 pillars of an effective marketing piece. Number 1, social proof. And Kathy has the testimonials in there. She has the social proof. Number 2, performance stats, then numbers. Kathy has the 3 key numbers Kathy has in here, by the way, are number 1, her comparison of her average list price to sale price at 97% versus other agents in the market at 93%. So that's a key stat she shares. And the second one is her average percentage of listings sold. She sells on average 89% of her listings, where the average agent in the market sells 71.4% of the listings, I suppose, before they expire, and she says has a little arrow down at the bottom. So when you list with me, your home is 24.6% more likely to sell. And then the third thing is she has two things where she shares her number of buyers. She talks about the number of buyers she has. So she is sharing the numbers, some performance stats. So that's the next thing. Then credibility, experience, publicity, etc. I don't know, I didn't look in here if she mentions that. Oh yeah, she does that. So she mentions up here under her name all of her designations, AVR, CDPE, E-Pro, GRI, SRS, and Institute for Luxury Home Marketing. So she is sharing credibility, experience, publicity, designations, and I should probably put designations in here as well. And then the thing that I think that Kathy is missing, the only thing, and Kathy, this rocks, this is no criticism, is some type of compelling message. Ask about something that talks about a special home selling process, how she stands apart from other agents. Like, for example, my 29-day fast sale planner in the luxury market, my 75-day private home marketing. My 75-day private home marketing plan, it is just magic dust for listing luxury homes. It also works with respect to selling those homes, by the way. As you know, those of you who watch my webinars, I've been training my son Casey to sell luxury homes in Paradise Valley, and we've worked together. He hasn't missed on one. And he's earning a ton. He's only been in the business now like 4 months. I think he shared in the last webinar that he's earned almost 50,000. I mean, closed earnings in his first few months, almost 50,000 bucks. And I mean, you know, they didn't really have any closings till like a few weeks ago. And now, you know, he's got listings. He's so busy. He told me the other day he can't even take any more business. He said, Dad, I just right now don't even have the time. I'm working getting the home sold that I have. Well, my point is, in terms of this having that's all about having a value proposition, this 75-day luxury home, private home marketing plan. So that's the one thing, whatever it is that Kathy would have isn't as important as having some special thing where she positions herself different from other agents. See, she's got these stats. And so in my view, what she ought to be doing is saying, here's how I did it. Here's the process I use. Here's how I'm different from other agents. People want to know the why. You know, how did you get that done? How do you perform so much better than other agents? And again, I love what Kathy's done here. If I had any bit of advice for her, it would just be that one little bit to incorporate in some why. Why is it that, what's my process? What's her process for getting this done? Well, speaking of that, speaking of luxury homes, for those of you that aspire to learn to list luxury homes, and quite frankly, you should. I mean, some point, even if you don't aspire to be a dedicated luxury home agent, at some point, you're going to run across the opportunity to list higher priced homes. And quite frankly, knowing how to do that not only helps you list those higher priced homes, but it positions you and helps you be unbelievably better at listing, let's say, mid-priced homes. So if you'd like to learn to be an amazing luxury home agent, and I want to tell you, you don't need a big name. You do not have, you might not believe me on this, you've got big name luxury home agents in your area. You do not need a big name. A lot of people think they do. They think they can't beat the people with a big name and signs all over. That is absolutely not true, as I'm going to prove to you in just a minute. You don't need a big budget. You may think you need a lot of money. You don't. You don't need a lot of money to make a lot of money in luxury homes if you do the right things. You also don't need big experience. You can list luxury homes without ever having listed a luxury home before. Zero experience in the luxury home market, and you can go out and start listing luxury homes. What you need is a program that sellers absolutely, positively can't resist, something that is irresistible to sellers. That is what you need. The idea here is the magic to displacing big name established luxury agents is to make sellers, and this is true, by the way, in luxury homes and non-luxury homes, if you don't have a big name, if people aren't listing with you just because of you. The magic is to have sellers focusing. If you've got big name agents you're competing against, get the sellers more focused on your home selling process than you personally. I have done that since I first got into real estate. When I struggled in the beginning and finally came across, dreamed up this plan, make every agent your listing agent. I've told that story before. I won't today. Listed the next 10 homes in a row. It catapulted me to being #1 in my market in 24 months. #1 in my market, #1 in my state in 24 months, and making a fortune. So because I understood then that that was the magic dust. And then as I got more chops, I got more experience. It even made it easier because people were seeing both an amazing home selling process and me, who had a lot of track record, a lot of credibility. So the process drives you to have more experience, you to have more recognition, and then it just explodes to being amazing. So, and the other ingredient, so you need to have that, you need to have this home selling process, and you then need to have as part of that an offer, a no downside offer where sellers can't lose. That is so important. And so many agents don't know that they need to do that. They need to provide sellers with an option, a home selling process that incorporates something where the sellers just absolutely can't lose. There's no downside. So, fact. When I decided to go from mid-priced homes into luxury homes, I was absolutely unknown in the #1 luxury home community in Arizona. Little over 5,000 homes, price ranges all in the millions, and I was absolutely unknown. I had never sold one of those homes. And starting with no name recognition, no luxury home experience, I was selling very mid-priced homes. Within 24 months, I was taking a 43% share of the market. Taking 43% of the new business in the market after 24 months. And it was really fun. And then it just went on year after year after year after year. And not with a lot of people. I built a team of 11 people. There were just 11 of us. And we were doing over 200 to $300 million a year in volume, and were featured in the Arizona Business Journal as the #1 boutique company in Arizona. And I mean, just really fun. You can do this. You can do this. You may not think you can, but you can. Would you like to know how? Well, I'm doing something that I have never done before. I am offering an entry-level loss leader, and it is truly a loss leader course on how to sell luxury homes. Starts May 11th. It's right here, May 11th. It's $297. And oh, by the way, if you attend, it's all live training by me. It's all live training by me. This is not pre-recorded. I'm going to be doing it live. We will record the sessions in case you miss one so you can listen to it. You can ask questions. I mean, this is just going to be totally move the needle, luxury home training, all my best. And it's $297. So $297. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. And I've never done this before. I'm going to give you copies of my absolute very best marketing materials, the things that make sellers call. And I'm going to show you right now just a few samples so you can see what that looks like. Let me go over to here and there. So this is one that I just ran right here. This is one that's just running in Paradise Valley. That will come out actually today, The Psychology of Selling a Home. So wrote this and talk with me before you list. I have a more intelligent approach to selling PV homes. And obviously that business goes to Casey. I talk to the people and then the business goes to Casey. But this is the article format. This is the article format. So I do every other week, I try to alternate. I do an article that in this talks, and look at the quote there. And see, what I'm going to do for those of you in my luxury course, I'm going to allow you to use this. And this is my quote: that's why I do it as a call out. Experienced luxury marketers understand that consumers of high-end products are more likely to respond to access than promotion. And if you read this, you'll see how I'm reinforcing my 75-day private home, luxury home process, and how I'm informing through an article that how much more effective that is than taking these luxury homes and just like all the other agents do and just throwing them out there with a sign and throwing them in MLS. So that's one type of ad. And then the other type of ad is more just this. This is, if you can see that on the screen, that is just more of an ad. So a unique way to sell your PV home, sell your home in 75 days, learn about a new, better way. You've seen it right there. No sign, no MLS, the most intelligent marketing Marketing and History of Real Estate. It was so good, featured in Forbes. And the good news is, if you get into my luxury course, use my luxury home strategy, then you can say that too, because your strategy is my strategy, which was featured in Forbes. And that is major league publicity in terms of helping you. So the bottom line there is, I'm going to go back to the deck here. If I can find it, where's the deck? There we go. So right there. So just the materials. I mean, you'd be nuts not to pay $3,000 just to have my materials 10 times the $297, not to mention with copyright release so you can use them, not to mention the fact that I'm going to teach you the whole strategy over a period of 4 weeks on Thursdays. So if you would like to, if you'd like to be part of that training, then just go to luxuryhomecourse.com, and sign up. And here's a special bonus for all of you on the webinar today. You sign up, and if you're already signed up for it, you're going to get this anyway, because I would never do this. I would never do something for people who are just signing up that haven't already. I know many of you have already signed up from the last webinar, but if you sign up, then you're going to get a special treat, and that is, I'm going to put you on a Voxer, a walkie-talkie with me, and you're going to get to, for instance, everybody that signs up like right now, next 15 minutes, and then it's over. We're going to take a list of those names. Then you are going to get on a special Voxer with me, and during the month, and that's a phone-to-phone walkie-talkie. So you're going to be, as you're going through the training and you're going out on appointments and you have situations, you're going to be able to audio me messages, and I will audio you back the answers. So you're going to actually, in addition to the actual group training, which I will do live, you're going to get to interface with me for a month and ask me audio questions. Don't overdo it. I'm going to say maybe like, 3 or 4 questions during the month. Don't be hitting me like 3 times a day with questions. Not fair, but you can ask me anything you want. I'll hit you back with an answer. But that is, I only have a certain amount of time, so that is limited to those of you who sign up for this in the next 15 minutes. And the last thing I'll say is that you can't lose, because if you attend the first session and you don't think it's absolutely amazing, like just the first session is worth way more than the $297, all you have to do is let us know. Just email Jen afterwards, and we will refund your money immediately. There it is. So I'm going to end today's webinar the way I always do, and that is telling you guys, well, let me come right back on screen. I'm not going to do that. Is, I'm going to end this webinar the way I always do, and that is, guys, and I mean this, not only have an amazing Wednesday, but I salute the Maverick in you. You have an amazing week, and the recording is